Guy Pacha with the weekly Pele report. Only I might call this one the papaya report. Cut it out. You heard of the banana report, the Pele report. Let's do a freaking papaya report. Oh my God. Check out those little guys. I also want to show you, here we've got these little baby papayas. And I want to talk about this a little bit today. Here is an old leaf from that papaya tree that is withering away, dying out. And it will soon fall off, that tree. There's a couple more of them here too that are on their way out. Look at this guy. He's starting to sag. That guy farther out there, he's starting to sag. But then we've got, the beautiful fullness of life. We're talking Sun in Cancer, Venus in Cancer, North Node in Cancer, Mercury headed back to Cancer. Mercury doing the retrograde thing is going to be coming back into Cancer on Friday. Yeah? What else is going on? Well, you know what's going on with that lunar eclipse, right? That was yesterday. Whoa, Nellies. And she is now moved out of Aquarius. Out of Capricorn. And now she's gone into Aquarius. She's going to stay over there in Aquarius until Friday. And then hanging out in Pisces. It's a Pisces weekend, moon in Pisces weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She doesn't go into Aries until Monday. So we got some Pisces moon energy happening. And during that time, and you can see it at the chart that I posted, she's going to conjoin with Neptune, right? So we're going to have this beautiful moon-Neptune conjunction in sextile, right? To the Pluto-Saturn node thing going on in Capricorn, and in trine to the Sun, Venus, Mercury node stuff going on down there in Cancer. So, we've got these oppositions happening. We've just had Venus opposite Saturn, and now, she's coming up, and by Sunday, she is going to be in exact opposition with Pluto. Okay, and yeah, and Mercury is coming back to join her. That's that's coming up a little later on, but we've got these oppositions going on, but that moon, is coming through Pisces, going to make a very nice, time there. So this could be a very interesting weekend. We're going to be feeling a shift, I think, as the sun goes into Leo next Monday. There's going to be a lightening up, a speeding up of some of the energy of these times that have been, pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. Let me get over to a rock here. Give you that sense of heavy. I'm sorry, man. I'm just not feeling my best today. I'm feeling a little bit like this rock. I'm, feeling kind of lazy. Not wanting to leave the backyard. So what else is happening? Give you the rest of these aspects. Venus is in trine to that Neptune exact, okay, on Thursday. And the Sun is exactly conjunct Mercury on Sunday. So you got Venus opposite Pluto, Mercury conjunct the Sun at the same time. Yeah, all there on Sunday. And let me just look at the camera and talk about it. All right, everybody. I'm going to try to get through this. The fact of the matter is, I'm sick. I hardly ever get sick. I haven't missed a frickin' Pele report since I started doing these things in 2010. I think I had a surgery for my appendix. I still didn't miss a Pele report. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, it's just one of these days. This lunar eclipse, the full moon. The moon rules fluids. liquids. You know, it raises the tides and lowers the tides. We get, you know, the waters of the planet actually bulge, right? You know, with the, you know, with that full moon. And when we get an eclipse, all these fluids are going in. In my case, it's mucus. Ooh, oh man. And this is just, you know, I'm going to talk about Cancer a little bit. You know, Cancer is home, and it's babies, and it's childhood, and it's vulnerable, and it's new, and it's also the kitchen and cooking and alchemy. That at the beginning there, I did my smoothie this morning. That was blueberries, papayas, mangoes, and strawberries. You know, and, you know, alchemy, we think of alchemy like, ooh, alchemy. You know, shamanism, 8th house, deep Scorpio stuff. But you know what? Alchemy is happening like all the time, everywhere, every meal, every time you put something in the oven. Okay, you know, I mean, there's transformation happening, especially through heat. You know, I'll give it that, you know, but, you know, there's, you know, mixing things and different ingredients. So Cancer, you know, this conglomeration of energy in Cancer happening right now around that north node of the moon is bringing us to a certain alchemy, but it's very internal. It's very internal, and I want to talk about this Venus opposite Pluto because it was back in January, if you remember, the middle of January. We had, you know, Mercury conjunct Saturn, Sun conjunct Pluto, I think the second week of January or something. And then Venus came around to hit Pluto, okay, in February. And this is all Capricorn. You know, Capricorn, you know, is associated with the 10th house in astrology. It's job, business, vocation, career, reputation, my duties and responsibilities to the outer world. Okay, my goals, where I'm headed. So it's, you know, this is like big business. Okay, this is like, you know, big stuff going on, and you know, it's like, you know, I get ambition, drive towards achievement. And now, 6 months later, you know, Venus comes around to Cancer, Sun comes around to Cancer. Okay, and this is what I am doing in the outer world inwardly fulfilling. You know, and it is this outer and the inner, the 10th house and the 4th house. Capricorn, Cancer, prana, apana. I just posted a video, yeah, balancing the prana and the apana. You know, prana is in and up. And apana is down and out. You can even say it's kind of like masculine, feminine, yin, yang, balancing, all this kind of stuff. And so, you know, we're coming into this, you know, this period where, you know, it has to do with inner feelings of satisfaction, feelings of contentment come from, you know, being in alignment with our soul purpose. And it's beyond ego consciousness or our ego drives for external validation and external forms of success and fame and money and followers and, you know, subscribers or whatever. It's like we do these things in the outer world. And this is very what? Western, patriarchal, masculine. This is what it has been about. Alexander the Great conquering nations, right? I mean, it's just like it's been about, okay, you know, the United States, you know, going after and, you know, wiping out the indigenous peoples. I mean, the Spanish coming down to Mexico, Central. I mean, you just look all over the place. It has been about conquering and expanding outward. Now we're coming into a time, you know, this new paradigm, is balancing this masculine and the feminine. And it's maybe looking for contentment, looking for satisfaction, looking for fulfillment a little bit more through inner work. And I was thinking about it today. Yet today was like the first day I think that I have ever canceled readings. And it's like really scary for me. It's like to not show up, to not do my duty, to not do my work, to not do my business, to cancel my readings for the day because I'm feeling like crap. This is like really hard. This is really tough. And I also think about Cancer as it's not just babies and innocence and nurturing. It's also old age and retirement. When you want to find a good place to retire, you go to your astrocartography and you look for your moon on the IC. The moon on the nadir, 12 o'clock midnight, the deepest point. There's going to be a line in your astrocartography. And that's where you go to feel supported, to feel nurtured, to feel safe. This is the thing. It's like, letting go of, my job, in this case, my readings. I mean, that's my income. I mean, that's my financial security. I mean, it's like when you get sick, it brings up all kinds of different, feelings and emotions and fears around not showing up, not being validated, not being taken care of. And you go into, we are, each and every single one of us, super vulnerable. It's hard to be in that place of vulnerability. And yet, that is the place where we are our most human. And it has to do with the mantra for today. It reminds me, I think it's Jason Mars, A Beautiful Mess. One of the songs I've been learning on the guitar, and it's like picking up trash in dresses. It's a great one, man. But we are we are perfectly imperfect messes. And we can get objective. Capricorn, Aquarius, right now the moon is, in Aquarius, and it's astrology and astrologers. We can all get into this planetary consciousness and get all objective and get all outside ourselves and look at the big grand picture of the, evolution of planetary consciousness and but you know what, man? Our personal path, our personal journey towards evolving through this planetary school of Gaia, as I call it, right? The evolutionary stages, is that we evolve through our emotions and we evolve through going inward, which I was also thinking about that, your eyes. When our eyes are open, we are mentally stimulated. Eyes and vision give us new data. Every time you put your eyes on something new, something different, it triggers different synapses in your brain, and you are getting mentally stimulated like all day long. That's why in Kundalini Yoga, in meditation, if we think of the East and the West is far more of an inward path. Meditation, you close your eyes. Just think about it. How often, how long are your eyes closed every day? Like hardly at all. It's like we close our eyes to go to sleep and we open them up in the morning and they're open all day long. I love doing yoga, closing my eyes for the whole Kriya. And then, doing some meditation afterwards and closing the eyes. And this brings consciousness inward. And I want to talk about consciousness then.
because we tend to think of consciousness as mental. Oh, they're very conscious. Okay, you know, or they're, you know, I mean, if you're very conscious, then you are very awake and you are very alert, and it's kind of like your sixth chakra, and it's like, you know, your third eye, so you're awake. And so, I mean, in exploring consciousness, I have to share this. At the end of the video, you know, you can scroll forward if you're bored, but at the end of the video, I Googled define consciousness, right? First of all, I'll read what Wikipedia says about that, you know. Consciousness is the state or quality of awareness or of being aware of an external object or something within oneself. I was very proud of Wikipedia. Yeah, it is also something about, and then they even go farther. It's really great. It has been defined as sentience, awareness, subjectivity. I was very glad to hear them say subjectivity. The ability to experience or to feel. How about that, Wikipedia? Wakefulness, having a sense of selfhood, and the executive control systems of the mind. Whoa, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That brings consciousness to, you know, like all the chakras, like it is feeling, okay? But it's something to really get your consciousness down to your root chakra, get your consciousness down to your second chakra. I mean, so we have to think about this. Because my teacher, Jeffrey Green, says, you know, he's talking about, you know, in evolutionary astrology, and I think Rudolf Steiner also, but, you know, there's human consciousness, but there's animal consciousness, there's plant consciousness, there's planetary consciousness, right? There's mineral consciousness. We don't want to just like, you know, humanity as human beings, we don't have a corner on consciousness. So let's not fool ourselves or get too arrogant, get too full of ourselves, thinking, oh yeah, humanity, we're conscious. It's like, well, we have a kind of consciousness. And even with astrology, there's fire, earth, air, and water. There's water consciousness. You know, this is our feelings, the ability to subjectively, inwardly feel. There's body consciousness, earth, right? You know, then there's mental consciousness and fire, intuitive consciousness. Jupiter up there in Sagittarius. This is a time of expanding consciousness. So I just wanted, really, I'm just thinking about this stuff. I'm kind of rambling today because, you know, I'm kind of out of it. But it's just something to think about, the different kinds of consciousness. And like I say, at the end of the video, I had to take a snapshot because you could scroll down on Google and there's a graph of consciousness through history. That's great, man. And in the late 1800s, which is exactly right around the end of the Kali Yuga, very interesting, around, when Gurdjieff and Steiner and, Blavatsky and Theosophy and Anthroposophy and all that mystical stuff, Goethe going on, over there in Europe, the late 1800s. This is a very powerful time. That shows kind of a peak in consciousness, and it's kind of going down. And then it came up again, okay, in the late 60s and into the 70s, we had this rise in consciousness. But guess what, folks? Since then, it's been going down. I love it, man. I don't know how they are measuring consciousness, how they graph consciousness going down, but it kind of feels that way to me. This whole new paradigm trip. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I'm just rambling, so I'm going to stop this freaking thing, man. I got to just chill out. This is my big thing for the whole day. I'm going to wrap up this video and turn into a vegetable. Everybody is human. A perfectly imperfect mess. And the more I move from my head to my heart, the more I relieve the stress. You know, there is a lot of stress these days. The more that we stimulate ourselves through screens and Google and business and work and, you know, just the need to keep abreast and up with the latest and the greatest technologies and everything that's going on these days. And I mean, it's just like, it is like, I don't know, things are getting like, it's very stressful. And Jupiter's coming into Capricorn next year. It's going to get even more stressful. I mean, we're in, like I said, we're in the eye of the needle here. We're going through this eye of the needle. And when we come down into Cancer and now the sun, you know, going to be going into Leo, this is subjective consciousness. Cancer and Leo, okay? And Leo's about fun, recreation, creation, recreation. Recreation. You know, this Cancer, Leo, we take things personally, subjectively, inwardly, and, you know, my world, my inner feelings, and my family, and my children, and my creations. You know, artists are, you know, very often, you know, subjective, very people, you know, very, you know, sometimes, you know it's, some people could say at times, if you want to, well, kind of egotistical sometimes. You know, it's like, you know, it's like you have to be like subjectively in your own stuff, your imperfect, perfect mess. It's like, you know, God is evolving, life is evolving, we are evolving. No sooner do we reach this point of perfection than this peak, okay, like this midlife, you know, 42 to, you know, this is your midlife, Uranus opposite Uranus kind of thing, you know, and you start what? You start going down, baby. You start getting wrinkles, you start turning gray, you know, you start to wilt like that leaf on the papaya tree. You know, it's like, you know, every cycle has this beginning and the mid and the end. And the midheaven, Capricorn, is 12 o'clock noon in the astrological birth chart, okay? You know, the peak of the cycle is externalization of our consciousness. But right now, for a year and a half, from now until May of 2020, the north node of the moon is in Cancer. It's coming in, coming home, coming down, coming to the kitchen, doing your inner work, you know, making your food and your breakfasts and your lunches and your smoothies and, you know, and really feeling your inward feeling, and then emotionally connecting to your most immediate family, your most immediate environment. Give your parents a call. Give your kids a call. There's very powerful, deeply hidden, okay, you know, these things that come with family, these things that come with our immediate others, okay, really holds very powerful medicine for our growth and expansion of consciousness as a human being, not as an automaton, a robot, or a screen figure, but as a breathing, heart-beating human being. Yeah, so relieving the stress, to get back to the mantra and wrap this sucker up, right? You know, it is like when you let go of looking for, you know, outer forms, outer honors and awards and recognition, and you know, you just let go. It's like, I'm sorry, but I can't show up for everybody else all the time. I have to show up for myself. And it's like really hard to like go through that window, but like when you do go through that window, it's, you know, it's probably easier for some people than others. I think it's probably easier for Cancers. You come through that window, you know, back into myself, my well-being, you know, my inner feeling of contentment and fulfillment, you know, as being a high priority. So I would just, you know, this is a time period where I encourage you, you know, if you're torn between, you know, this is just not feeling right. This can also be a change. Venus is our values. And when it comes into this opposition with Pluto, it can be the death of an old set of values. And the birth and the realization of, you know what? That's really not fulfilling. That's not valuable for me anymore. You know, what I've been chasing or what I've been doing in this, you know, profession or this outer world is just no longer feeding me inwardly and emotionally. And I'm not, you know, I'm not getting the juice out of it that I used to get. So this may also be a catalyst, an alchemical transformation that happens inwardly, and you know, the universe is conspiring with you like this frickin' fly, you know, to just like really look at what's like right here in front of your, not even in front of your nose, but like behind your nose, inside. So go inside, feel, take a day off, go on sabbatical, take a week off, step back, go on retreat a little bit, especially like with this moon in Pisces this weekend, conjoining with Neptune, you know, in a beautiful trine to all that Cancer water. This is a good weekend to just like chill out, go stress-free. One last time. I don't want to keep you all day. What is it? Everybody is human, a perfectly imperfect mess. And the more I move from my head to my heart, the more I relieve the stress. And not only relieve the stress on myself, but guess what? We relieve the stress on everybody else by not being so demanding and not, you know, having so many expectations and just like, you know, really, you know, blaming or judging or, you know, I mean, it's just like, you know, we get caught up and we can get other people caught up. And, you know, not only we get stressed out, but, you know, we stress each other out. So this might be a time in this, you know, this lunar eclipse is just like illuminating the need for each and every one of us to step down, step back, step in, release, let go of the stress, recenter, rejuvenate. When that sun shoots into Leo next week, come back out renewed. So there. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.